From popular and sprawling lakes whose deep dark depths are rumored to harbor ancient spirits forever seeking to drag those who wander too far down to icy fates, to massive expanses of giant redwoods whose misty trails are roamed by the spirits of hikers since deceased. Are you sure you're ready to brave our fourth list of picks for some of the most haunted state parks in the US? Number 5. Belmont Lake State Park. Belmont Lake State Park, located in North Babylon on Long Island in New York, is a 463-acre day-use state park that includes the popular 26-acre spring-fed Belmont Lake and a significant associated wetland complex. Historically, in 1926, Belmont Lake State Park was first established on lands that formerly held a portion of the Nursery Stud Farm, a thoroughbred operation owned under August Belmont Jr. of the Belmont Stakes. In 1935, this particular park would be selected under Robert Moses as a regional headquarters to all other state parks on Long Island, and to date continues to serve as a headquarters to the Long Island region of the New York State Office of Parks, Recreation, and Historic Preservation, as well as to the New York State Police. In the present, Belmont remains open to the public, offering boating accommodations, prime springtime trout fishing, and summertime bass fishing, picnic sites, recreation fields, 2 playgrounds, and pedal boats, rowboats, and kayaks that can be rented from May through Columbus Day. Additionally, Carl's Creek totes a 4.2-mile trail, similar to the one that encompasses the lake, offering a total of 7.6 miles of multi-use trails. Chillingly, this lake has long been surrounded in stories of the paranormal, with local tales painting its bounds as haunted by the spirits of those who have perished near over the millennia, and also by the souls of August Belmont and his family, who poured their lives into their farm, and those braving the expanse have reported odd illuminations and strange mists that are visible to the naked eye, electronic malfunctions and abnormal battery death rates, the constant feelings of being watched or of being followed, and encounters with both shadowy figures and full-bodied apparitions in clothing spanning the eras. Strange orbs have been spied drifting just above the lake's surface. Those who have entered the waters have described feeling hands tugging at their ankles, and multiple accounts describe what seem to be the entities of swimmers in old-fashioned gear that are always observed dipping below the wake, never to resurface. Number 4. Bomoseen State Park. Bomoseen State Park, located within the Taconic Mountains on the western shores of the lake of its namesake, and split between the towns of Castleton, Fairhaven, Hubbardton, and Benson in Vermont, is a popular 3,576-acre park, whose Lake Bomoseen is actually recognized as the largest lake in the state. Historically, through the turn of the 20th century, part of the area now constructed within park bounds would belong to the Lakeshore Slate Company, which was owned under Samuel L. Hazard. However, when Hazard passed on in 1929, his remaining property was passed on to his daughter Martha Warren, who would reside on site year-round, before transforming the old residence into a summer home. In 1959, Warren would donate around 365 acres of land, including the old company building, to the state for the creation of a recreational space and refuge for wildlife. And a year later, in 1960, the park would open its bounds to the public, encompassing over 2,000 acres around the nearby Glen Lake and forested land in and around Half Moon State Park. In the present, Bomoseen offers a mess of multi-use trails, including the popular Half Moon, options in boating, fishing, and swimming, 55 campgrounds and RV sites along with 10 lean-tos, a full snack bar, boat rentals, and more. Bomoseen State Park has long been surrounded by a popular and chilling legend that tells that many years back, 3 Irish quarry workers enjoyed spending their evenings at a tavern off the lake shores, but that in order to get home, they would have to make their way across the expanse in a rowboat following. After a particularly alcohol-infused night, the men departed over the waters, after which they were never seen from again. While it was initially presumed they'd capsized and drowned, no bodies ever washed ashore, and since, many have told of encounters with a ghostly rowboat observed gliding across Bomoseen on moonlit nights. In nearly all of these instances, this vessel is described as totally empty, with its oars moving as if by invisible hands, and creepiest of all, in total silence against the wake, leading some to speculate the souls of these unlucky workers may be stuck forever seeking their ways home. Number 3. Toltec Mounds Archaeological State Park. Toltec Mounds Archaeological State Park, also referred to as Knapp Mounds, is the Toltec Mounds site, or more simply as Toltec Mounds, and located near Scott, Arkansas, off of the shores of the Arkansas River Oxbow Mound Lake, is a prominent historic site from the late Woodland period that preserves an 18-mound complex boasting the tallest surviving prehistoric mounds in the state. Historically, land now holding Toltec was initially inhabited by its original residents from circa 600 to 1050 CE. This populace would construct the expanses' iconic earthwork mounds for religious, political, and ceremonial practices, and would connect them with their cosmology. The linking of this site with the Toltec people of Mexico was actually nothing more than a mistake made through the 19th century by Mrs. Gilbert Knapp, who owned the land from 1857 to 1900, and who, in error, connected the mounds with Toltec culture. However, later archaeological investigations performed in 1883 under the Smithsonian's Edward Palmer, and, for that matter, a number of subsequent studies under various additional reputable experts, have since discerned the mounds, much like others found across the US, are actually the work of regional tribes native to the area. This particular culture was eventually called the Plum Bayou under educated parties, after a significant local waterway, and while Plum Bayou sites can certainly be found along the flow, throughout White River and Arkansas River floodplains, they can also be viewed as far west as the eastern Ozark Mountains, though Toltec is by far the largest accumulation. In 1978, Toltec was declared a National Historic Landmark. In 1980, it was opened up as a state park. And into the present, its bounds continue to offer a rare opportunity to witness ongoing archaeological research within a public setting. Dubbed the Stonehenge of Arkansas, Toltec has long been surrounded in ghost stories, legends, and mystery. Strangely, to date, archaeologists have been unable to pinpoint exactly where the Plum Bayou culture originated from, or how it disappeared so suddenly. And dark theories range from supernatural causes to ancient curses, to some type of unimaginable disaster. Those who have braved this park have reported disembodied footsteps heard from empty spaces around the mounds, voices in strange dialects that emanate from thin air, and encounters with ominous shadowy manifestations. Orbs have been spied in the skies above the site, ancient music is often detected on the winds, and at night, several have told of encounters with the full-bodied apparitions of entities in ancient attire. Number 2. The Humboldt Redwoods State Park. The Humboldt Redwoods State Park, located off of Avenue of the Giants between Myers Flat and Weot in California, is a popular public expanse recognized as the third largest park in the whole of the state park system, that's also renowned for its holding of the Rockefeller Forest, which is the largest remaining contiguous old-growth forest of coastal redwoods in existence. Historically, these wildlands were initially inhabited by tribes native to the region for thousands of years, most notably by the Sinkyone. Through the 1850s, white settlers would begin traveling to the redwoods in waves seeking to clear the land for farming and residential purposes. And beginning in 1863, the expanse was acquired under the Pacific Lumber Company. By 1918, after the realization of how much of the forest had been cut had dawned on the public, members of the Boone and Crockett Club would organize the Save the Redwoods League and would work tirelessly towards the preservation of the region. In 1921, the league would dedicate the Colonel Raynal C. Bowling Memorial Grove as its first of such groves, within what is now the Humboldt Redwoods State Park. And from this point forward, the park would see countless expansions and today hosts over 53,000 acres, 17,000 of which are comprised of old-growth redwoods. The Humboldt Redwoods State Park remains a popular stop amongst nature enthusiasts, hikers, tourists, and the like, offering more than 250 individual campsites, over 100 miles of multi-use trails, and its iconic 32-mile Avenue of the Giants. On a side note, another significant feature of this prestigious forest are its ghost trees, which are growths infested with parasites that prevent photosynthesization, resulting in a rather ominous appearance. While scientists aren't exactly certain how ghost trees are even capable of supporting life, some theorize these parasites may actually help their host trees process toxins or heavy metals. Over their lengthy utilization, park bounds have acted as birthing grounds to a number of chilling local legends, ranging from claims of ancient native spirits disturbed through early logging, to stories of wandering ghosts resulting from deaths that have occurred through the dense forest. And those braving the Humboldt Redwoods have reported extreme cold spots and adverse weather, strange fogs that descend upon lone campsites, and both pale, wraith-like manifestations that drift amongst the trees, and full-bodied apparitions in native attire that stare for moments at campers before fading into the mist. Additionally, parklands are believed to host an assortment of cryptids, ranging from fearsome beasts of native legend to the elusive Sasquatch, with sightings of the latter beginning through the 1950s, continuing into the present, and even instances in which campers report having their food supplies trampled by massive feet or stolen entirely by this mysterious being. Number 1. Liberty State Park. Liberty State Park, located out of Jersey City, New Jersey, on the upper New York Bay, just opposite Liberty and Ellis Islands, is a popular public expanse stretching 1,212 acres that features the iconic Communipaw Cove, a 36-acre state nature preserve that acts as one of the few remaining tidal salt marshes along the Hudson River. Geographically speaking, a good bulk of the park is located on these tidal flats, and historically, through the 19th century, the small spit of land called Black Tom was joined with the mainland by way of landfill. Over the years, this point would act as a popular shipping, manufacturing, and transportation hub on the port of New York and New Jersey, resulting in the construction of the Communipaw Terminal. And it was through this ferry and train station that many of the earliest immigrants arriving to the US would begin journeys towards their new lives in a new land. In 1976, Liberty State Park would be open to the public under the New Jersey Division of Parks and Forestry in order to coincide with the US bicentennial. And in 1993, the Liberty Science Center, which is an interactive science museum and educational institution, would open its doors as New Jersey's first major state science museum. Liberty State Park remains open into the present, acting as a popular nature destination both to tourists and locals alike, while offering unparalleled views of the Manhattan skyline, of the Statue of Liberty, and of Ellis Island, alongside a mess of picnic areas, memorials, playgrounds, and, according to legend, a slew of supernatural phenomena. In 1889, the historic Central Railroad of New Jersey Terminal was constructed within park bounds and would operate until the time of its closure in 1967. At the height of terminal operations, this hub would accommodate around 30,000 to 40,000 passengers a day, and it's around this weathered terminal that the park's first ghost story revolves. As it's told, the terminal harbors an entity known as the Lady in White, who manifests as a woman with long white hair and who's clad in a dress so white that it nearly glows. The lady has been spied making her way through the terminal even when it's closed down, and while security guards have attempted to stop her on numerous occasions and visitors have tried to approach her, both parties are usually met in disappointment as she always promptly vanishes or walks straight through nearby solid walls shortly after being noticed. Also reported at the station are accounts of encounters with a ghostly train that's rumored to depart right at midnight. A second popular ghost story surrounds the park's southeastern corner and intertwines with history to tell of the 1916 Black Tom explosion, in which German agents sabotaged an ammo depot that was producing munitions for allies of World War I, and that resulted not only in the deaths of 7 people, but in over $20 million in damages incurred to the Statue of Liberty, and also in a blast that was felt through the whole of the tri-state region. Chillingly, near the site of said explosion, many have told of run-ins with disturbing charred apparitions that wander about emitting ghastly groans, and that have even been known to charge the living manically at times. Taking its fascinating and somewhat dark history into account, and coupling it with such a formidable slew of associated local legends and tales of terror, we felt Liberty State Park was the perfect choice as this list's most haunted state park in the US. Thanks for joining us for our 4th list of picks for some of the most haunted state parks in the US. If you enjoyed our histories and lore, subscribe to our channel, like this upload, and share us with all of your friends. Pleasant dreams.